Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. Welcome to The Takeout. We're going to start tonight with drug deaths in America. From April 2024 to April of this year, 76,516 Americans died of drug overdoses. That number comes from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. By comparison, less than 40,000 Americans died in traffic fatalities in 2024. And just by also comparison, in 2023, drug overdose deaths in America exceeded 105,000. And of those, about 70% came from synthetic opioids. Opioids, that's the proper pronunciation. Primarily fentanyl, and even nastier substances mixed with fentanyl. This is a gigantic problem for our country. But Venezuela is not part of the fentanyl problem. Neither is neighboring Colombia. Numerous government databases say exactly the same thing. Mexico is the source of fentanyl in America, with help from China. Let me read from the State Department's 2025 International Narcotics Control Strategy Report. Quote, Mexico was again the most significant source of illicit fentanyl and fentanyl analogs, and companies in China remain the largest source of precursor chemicals and equipment to manufacture illicit fentanyl. Venezuela produces no fentanyl. It is a transit hub for cocaine. Much of that comes from Colombia, the world's largest cocaine producer. The Venezuelan military reaps illegal profits from that cocaine trade, that's for sure. Importantly, South American cocaine flows to America via the Pacific, not the Caribbean. Until today, the U.S. military had not struck a single vessel in the Pacific. 7 suspected drug vessels were blown up in the Caribbean. Today, 1 in the Pacific. You can see the video playing right there. 2 people were aboard that vessel, and they were killed. 2 of them were killed. 34 people so far have been killed in this armed conflict. That's the administration's phraseology. There's also a covert operation of some kind President Trump has approved inside Venezuela. Venezuela, again, not a source of fentanyl. So, is this all about something else? Is it about regime change in Venezuela? What is legal or illegal about all of these military strikes? And did this widening military campaign lead to the early retirement of the admiral overseeing it? Do these alleged drug boats pose the same threat to America as al-Qaeda? The defense secretary today said they did. We will discuss the implications of all this with Congressman Adam Smith. You see him right there. He's the ranking Democrat on the Armed Services Committee. And as well, we'll discuss it with Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz a bit later in the program. But first, we turn to our Aaron Navarro, who is at the White House. Aaron, I was going to turn that way, but that's where Adam Smith is. I'm going to look straight ahead to Aaron Navarro, because there he is. Aaron, tell us about what we know about what happened today with this 8th military strike against an alleged drug vessel.
Major, you brought up one important point in that this was the first vessel that the administration has hit that was on the Pacific side of South America rather than in the Caribbean. I thought that was notable. A defense official said that the vessel came from the international it was in international waters off the coast of Colombia specifically, and as you mentioned, 2 individuals on this vessel were killed, according to an ex-post from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, and that has been the pattern in these strikes. The secretary will post videos of them accompanied by some details from the Defense Department about them. It's important to note as well, you mentioned that at least 34 people have been killed in these strikes that many Democrats in Congress have challenged the legality of, while the administration has also told Congress that the U.S. is, quote, in a non-international armed conflict with drug cartels and leans on that kind of notice as the argument behind these strikes and the larger effort against these alleged drug shipping happening in these waters.
And Aaron, there's been some developments at the White House today regarding Russia, potential sanctions, comments from the Treasury Secretary and the like. What can you tell us?
Yeah, the Treasury Department just announced direct sanctions on Russia's largest oil companies. They said that this was due to, quote, a lack of serious commitment to a peace process to end the war in Ukraine. This comes the same week that we saw that potential Budapest summit between President Trump and Russian President Putin seem to fall apart. The sanctions will target the Rosneft and Lukoil oil companies as well as their subsidies. And the Treasury Department says it pretty blatantly in the release that the goal is to put pressure on Russia's energy sector and the Kremlin's ability to raise revenue for its military in their war with Ukraine. We know that the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is meeting with President Trump this afternoon in the Oval Office with a pretty big focus on this Ukraine-Russia war and seeing if they can line up the priorities of Europe and NATO with what President Trump is thinking in terms of ending the war and what the terms will look like.
Aaron Navarro at the White House, thank you very much.